Hi everyone, my name is Satyam Raha, and in this video let's talk about the static keyword in Java. So you see, to be very precise, static keyword actually is used to invoke anything without creating an object. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Let's say an example. Let's say I have a class named A, okay, and inside this class A, let's say I have a static. Let's do stuff with non-static things. Let's say int a equals to 9. Maybe we have something called show method. Okay, inside that we have something called as maybe in show. Okay, let's say that's it. Okay, now to call this method or to use this variable, okay, we need to create an object of the class A. Okay, otherwise we cannot access it. Say for example, if I want to access A, I have to create an object of class A, right? Obj equal to say new A, right? Now I can access the obj dot I, sorry, dot A equals to maybe 9 or maybe 10, whatever I want. I can access it only using the object. If I want to say access the method show, I'll have to use the object obj dot maybe show, right? So this happens with normal methods or non-static variables. Now say I do not want to use it. Okay, I want to access these variables directly. Let's say I do not have this class, for example. Let's say I do not have this class. Okay, let's say within this class I have these variables, right? If that is the case, now what can I do? I do not have a class named A, so I'll make a object of final demo, right? Say final demo, and here also final demo, right? So let me try to access A normally. Can I? Let's say I want to access A equals to 8. Does it work? No, it doesn't work. The reason is this is a non-static variable. It needs an object to be accessed, right? So I cannot do this. Can I access the show method? No, I cannot do it. Although it is in the same class, I cannot access it directly. I have to use an object to access it, right? But say I do not want that to happen. I want to access these things directly without invoking the objects. That is possible if I make it static. Okay, that is possible if I make the method as static. Now you see, if I try to access A from here, it works fine. Maybe equals to 90, it works fine, right? Say I want to access the member method show, so I can directly call it. I do not need an object to create it, to access it, right? So that is the power of static keyword. Now obviously the reason why we use static with the main method lies in this concept. How? Because we do not call the main function explicitly, it is being called by the compiler, right? So before or without creating any object, the main method is called, isn't it? So in order for this to happen, the main method must mandatorily be made as static. Okay, since no object is used to create or to call the main method, right? The compiler calls this. The JVM actually calls the main method, and it doesn't use any object of any class. That's why we need to mention it as static. Okay, now you see, uh, let's say I maybe these things were in a different class, say class A. Okay, and maybe these variables and methods were in a different class. Then what would have happened? Say for example, we have these things in the another class, so obviously it cannot be accessed because the scope of those variables or methods is actually not seen here, right? It is not visible in the scope. So what I can do is, when I want to access a static method from another class or static variable from another class, I have to use the class name. Okay, so a dot a, so it will work fine. So a dot show, now it will work fine. So if I execute this code, it works fine. Okay, so int show is invoked, right? So this is how you use the static keyword. Now there is another usage of static, which is the static block. I can have a static block like this, where I say I want to print maybe in static block, maybe, right? So you see, when I have this static block, what happens is, if I execute this code, the in static block is printed at the beginning. What is the reason behind this? Say I did not, okay, I have all these things in the in another class. For let's just see the when they are in the other class. So class A has all the static things. Okay, and from class final demo, I'm actually doing something. Okay, let's say I'm not doing something. So let's run the code. So no option, no output, right? Now when will the static method be executed, or the static block will be executed? The static block will be executed when a reference to the class A is used in any scenario. If the reference to class A is, say, used, so it will execute the static block first. For example, say I want to assign, I want to access the variable A, maybe. Okay, so the variable A, how can I access it from another class? So using the class name, so a dot a, if I want to print it. Now see, here what I am doing, I'm using the reference of class A, right? Although I'm using it for another task, I want to access the value of A, but I am actually using the reference of the class A, right? When this happens, obviously the static block will be executed first, at the first. Okay, see, in static block is executed first, then the value of A is printed. Okay, let's say another one. Let's say okay, let's say, let's not delete it. Let's say I want to maybe call the show method. How can I access the show method? Using a dot show. Okay, so println will not work. Let's delete it. A dot show, right? So if I execute it again, in static block will be printed first. Why? Because static block is executed first before everything. Static block is executed because this is a part of the class, this is not a part of object. That is why it will get executed when the class is loaded. Okay, now see, when a reference is made to the class A, it gets executed. Now when can it be possible in another way? Let's say I am creating an object of A, say A obj equals to new A. Okay, again see, I'm using the reference, although I'm creating an object of A. So but I'm using a reference of A here. When I'm using a reference of A, again static method will static block will get executed automatically before I call everything, anything. Okay, obj dot show, maybe I am calling the show method afterwards, but that doesn't matter, right? Because as long as the reference is used, the static block will be executed. Okay, so let's say this everything happens in the same class. For example, let's just copy, cut, paste this. Let's paste it here, right? So if this happens, now how will it work? So how will, when will static keyword get executed? It will execute it automatically, because the main method is present in the class where the static block is present. Class A is not present. Let's just delete it. Okay. So static method is present in the main in the class where the main method is present. So main method is getting called when I execute the code, and automatically the class reference is used, isn't it? Because the method is in because the main method is in this class, so this class reference is used by the JVM, and so the static block is executed at the beginning automatically. No matter what I do, I may be using the show method, maybe I am calling the show method explicitly, but it doesn't matter, right? Because the class where the static block is present is actually being invoked or being referenced by the main method, since the main method is present in this class. That is why it is called automatically at the beginning. So I hope you understood the use of static keyword in Java, right? So see you in the next video. Thank you.